We're doing it live! All right, what's up, everybody? It's Coach Mac. Welcome to the 5th episode of the PlayFast Podcast. Gonna rip one straight off the cuff, freestyle. Got a crazy week going on right now. We'll get into it a little bit. Gonna kind of do it solo / with the producer, Colby Grant, in the house. He doesn't like being on camera too much, but I need him a little bit for some possible clinic questions that we got going on, and then he'll maybe give some insight on the Royal Rumble, and maybe we'll get to a movie or two here or there. But got this week coming up, we got the first ever PlayFast Football Clinic this Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Embassy Suites in St. Augustine Beach, Florida. It's going to be an absolutely crazy week for me. It's a culmination of about a year's worth of planning, getting something off the ground that I never thought we'd be able to do. It's a business venture for me. It's my first real going out on a limb business venture as far as PlayFast Football is concerned. Obviously, I've did some website stuff last year. I started the Patreon stuff this year. The YouTube stuff has been going on, but as far as a business is concerned, this is the first major business move I've made with PlayFast Football, and having the ability to put it together, and currently have about 120 coaches that are going to be in attendance. We've got 5 select vendors that are going to be representing their companies, and they're all exclusive vendors that have been partners with PlayFast Football, so it's a really exciting time for that. To have it on the ocean in St. Augustine Beach at the Embassy Suites, which is only a year old, sold out 50 rooms at about $179 a night, which is pretty steep for a football coach's clinic, but we got actually 55 or 56 rooms booked, so it's going to be a wild week getting all that final preparations for all of it. And then today, coming back to school after Martin Luther King Day and his first day of weightlifting practice, first day of football off-season conditioning. So just 9 million things going on. The day was full from the time I woke up this morning, trying to get things in order for the clinic, last-minute things, making sure we got everything taken care of, trying to get all the paperwork on kids that are working out today and make sure athletically they're cleared in our clearance on our website, and make sure I, dot my I's and cross my T's with everything that I need to do with the paperwork, and then seeing how many kids we were going to have in the room and trying to figure out how those workouts are going to work and how we were going to break them up into groups with one of my assistant coaches here. Just that time of year where there's a lot going on, which is good, because I like better. I function a little bit better when I always have things going on. When I get free time, sometimes I kind of just lounge around and tend not to do anything. So I like when my schedule's full. I like knowing that I have things that I have to do and in a timely manner, because they need to get done, because I just function better that way. So if anybody, or if any of you listening are going to be in attendance at the PlayFast Football Clinic, can't wait to see you guys. We're going to be asking a lot of questions. We're going to be walking around. Colby's going to be there videotaping and documenting the entire thing, taking pictures, videotaping. We're going to try and live stream on YouTube at least one night, if not 2 nights. We're going to be doing different interviews. The next podcast we do, I think, is going to be a mashup of a bunch of different interviews that we try and do at the PlayFast Clinic with speakers and vendors and coaches. And we're going to try and make this as interactive as we can, because I want everybody's opinion on what makes a great football clinic. I've been going to football clinics for 23 or 24 years now, since I started as a GA, graduate assistant at St. John's University in 1996. So probably 22 years of clinics, and I'm trying to kind of give everybody something else, something that's a little bit different. Trying to find out what the actual clinic experience is like for everybody and what they really want to see. We're looking at things like how many speakers at the same time would you, we're doing 2. And my idea was we're going to do 2 speakers at the same time in 2 rooms, one an offensive guy, one a defensive guy, or if we have a culture or a program building guy, we have a special teams or a strength training. We don't have any strength training this year, but that's something that's going to be on the docket next year. We don't have any special teams full segments this year. We have a couple coaches talking on one segment about special teams, but that's something I want on the docket next year. Strength training and special teams sessions for sure. And then wanted to make sure that I had an offensive guy in one room and a defensive guy in another room. So when you come to the clinic, you only have 2 choices, and those 2 choices are offense or defense. It's not like at the big clinics where you have 6 rooms and you got to look through the schedule and pick out the speaker that you think, the topic that fits. And then sometimes you go to a topic and maybe the speaker isn't what you thought it was going to be, or the topic isn't what you thought it was going to be, and you planned your whole clinic and your times around going into that room, and then by the time you spend the first session in there, you've already missed another session that might have been better for you. So We toyed with the idea of how many speakers at the same time, and we came down to 2 speakers, 1 offense, 1 defense. I think there's one time where we have an O-line coaching an O-line coach speaking at the same time as a former head coach and a good friend of mine, Joey Wallace, is going to speak on program building and how to get a program to last and be successful over a long period of time. So I'm interested in the setup of it. I'm interested in seeing what people think about 2 speakers. I'm interested in if people want more than 2 speakers. I'm interested in maybe if people would be interested in a clinic where there's only 1 speaker at a time. And maybe if you have 12 to 15 speakers, each speaker speaks for an hour and 15 minutes and you break it up into 3 days. Or maybe each speaker goes for an hour and a half and you break it up into 3 days. But, you get to a clinic where there's only 1 speaker at a time. So if you have 120 guys at the clinic, all 120, if they're going to attend, have to go into that one room. So I think it makes it better for the speaker. I'm interested in the location, what everybody thinks of the location. Interested to see what the vendors think about, what we did, what we put together, how they like it, having only a select few vendors that don't have to compete with other vendors. I'm interested in the coaches' feedback on having only a few vendors there that maybe they could choose to spend more time with if they want to, or, not having to walk through a sea of 50 vendors trying to stop you every time. So when you're trying to get to a room, to a speaker, you're getting stopped by, guys that are trying to do business because they're there as vendors. But we've got 5 select ones that are, PlayFast associates and partners that sponsor PlayFast Football. So, it's going to be a great time. And Colby's got some ideas. I'm sure some he hasn't even told me about yet, but he's got some ideas, and he always comes up with good ways to put content out there. So we're going to be trying to film stuff. We're going to be trying to take pictures. We're going to try and record some of the sessions. We're going to try and live stream. We're going to try and document this whole thing the best we can, because I think we've got something special. I think we've got something different. I think thanks to all of you that might be listening to this podcast or might have ever watched or seen anything I've done with PlayFast Football. I think thanks to the audience, we were able to pull off something, in really respectable fashion that I wasn't sure we could do. When I talk to a lot of business people about clinics, I talk to people who said, first year we had 60 people and we did it at a high school, and first year we had 70 people and we did it in a local gym. And, I don't know how many people in their first clinic set off and booked an Embassy Suites resort on the ocean, an oceanfront resort at $180 a night. I don't know how many people took that on, and at the time wasn't really sure how good of an idea it was. But now, looking back, now we're starting to gain some leverage in the clinic business, at least as far as giving people another option of something else out there, another clinic to go to right now in Northeast Florida, because we didn't have one in Northeast Florida. Most of the clinics go to either Tampa or Orlando. So a clinic in Northeast Florida for right now, and then eventually my goal is to get more than one going during the year, and to get them in more than one location is a goal of mine. So I'm going to be talking to some business partners and some bigger companies that are going to be at the clinic. I'm interested in talking to them and seeing if they'd like to do a little bit more to get something off the ground, and maybe they can put their name in with, because I think what we've done with social media and what we've been able to do with the PlayFast brand, now that the last 6 months I've really focused on branding it and making it a business, we've been able to provide something that a lot of people might not have been able to do as a first-time venture. So through social media and Twitter and YouTube and Patreon and the website we had last year and Instagram, with all those things out there now, we've been able to put together a clinic that's going to be pretty good. The speakers we got are off the chain, and they're high school speakers only, which is something that for this first clinic, I was dead set on high school speakers only. Guys that can speak on our game, the problems we have, the things we deal with, schemes and things that we have to handle in high school and things that work in high school. In the future, I've got plans on maybe having a keynote speaker, maybe a college or an NFL guy. But, I've gone to a lot of clinics where I've listened to college and NFL guys, and they're great football coaches. And they're, each of them are unique minds in their own way. But a lot of their problems aren't our problems, and a lot of their answers aren't our answers. I can't do some of the things that some of those guys can do. I don't have those bodies. I don't have that talent. I don't have that many bodies. I can't recruit players. I can't fit certain players into certain positions because I'm out on the street looking for them. So, sometimes the college and the NFL guys are great, but it's really not conducive to our game. I will admit the first time that I got a chance to listen to Bobby Bowden speak, I was blown away. He didn't really speak anything on football, but it was Bobby Bowden. I listened to Nick Saban talk, and he talked about program stuff and discipline and accountability, and I was blown away by it. He didn't have to talk about cover 7. He didn't have to talk about all his, his Rip Liz match stuff and multiple insertion point 3 deeps. I didn't have to hear any of that from Nick Saban because just hearing Nick Saban was enough. I've had the chance to listen to some of those guys, and it's great. And especially when you're a younger coach, it was, I was kind of in awe and shocked at the fact that I was listening to those guys speak that I grew up kind of idolizing. But now as a head coach that is now a businessman putting a clinic on, I want to put a clinic on that's for the user. I want the clinic to be for the people that are there, and I want their opinion, and I want to know what they think would make a better clinic. And it's important to me to get that feedback. I'm doing one Sunday morning session, and it's really going to be more of a thank you and a history of PlayFast and what PlayFast means to me and what the ideology is behind PlayFast, because I don't even want to speak at my own clinic. A lot of guys said, "Oh, Coach, you're going to be talking. What are you going to be talking on?" I talk all the time on YouTube. I've got videos out there. I'm on Twitter all the time. We've got our Patreon site out there now. I'm doing these podcasts now. After a while, there's enough Coach Mac out there. I want to hear other coaches, and I want other coaches to be able to speak to people and give them an opportunity to speak to people. And a lot of these coaches that we have on the list are so good that they've been Glazier Clinic presenters or Nike Clinic presenters. I mean, we've got a clinic lineup of guys that have over 1,500 wins, 14 state titles, just unbelievable achievements. So they've all probably been at other clinics and spoke at other clinics at one time or another, but I wanted to give them a different venue to speak at. And, I think it's something that once we get it off the ground the first time, we've made a lot of mistakes. We're going to make a lot of mistakes. I know this weekend there's going to be things that come up that I probably wasn't prepared for, but it's only going to make us better in the future because I think we've provided something that can, present an alternative to some other clinics. I'm not saying I'm out there trying to take on the world. I'm not out there trying to take on Glazier or Nike. I know that, right now that's not feasible, but I want to provide an alternative, and I think I can also provide an alternative for some businesses out there that maybe don't have the budget or can't market or, can't partner with Glazier or Nike, and, they can join on with the PlayFast brand, and digital marketing is so popular now, and, YouTube and Twitter and all the things that are out there, there's literally people in advertising now that are setting up, their advertising description now is all digital marketing, and they're setting up budgets for people to understand where they should place their money in their advertising campaigns, in their marketing campaigns, where they should place their money and how much they should place into Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and social media and Facebook, and how many people are actually still using radio time and TV time, and obviously all the big names and Superbowl commercials coming up are going to be huge, as they always are, but not every company has that luxury. So I think PlayFast is that kind of interesting, dynamic now that we're going to be able to take some of those things that maybe people couldn't do in other areas, and maybe they could put some money into digital marketing and figure out a better way to push their product. Because let's face it, with all the analytics that you can study out there and look at, and now I've been forced to look at them all the time. We're talking about on the YouTube side alone, through PlayFast Football, we're talking about 40,000 views a month of, a demographic that is a majority of 21 to 45-year-old male football coaches. So, we're checking every box of the demographic that some of these companies are looking for. And in a month, you can get in front of 40,000 people, and there's 5,000 hours of watch time each month. So when you combine all the different people viewing and how long they're viewing for, there's over 5,000 hours of watch time. And everybody that we market for and everybody that I do business with, every YouTube video I put their sales pitch in my video. So when you're talking about advertising, instead of having to spend a ton of money on TV or radio or getting airtime, you put some money into smaller companies like PlayFast, and I advertise for you, and I've got you in front of 40,000 people a month and 5,000 hours of watch time, and almost 18,000 subscribers now, and all the Twitter stuff that we do with the Sunday night Twitter chats, and then my own, personal Twitter stuff that I do. And now we're retweeting and liking tweets and sending it out there and doing stuff on Instagram. And, Instagram's my worst right now, and I'm trying to get better at it. But, doing stuff on Instagram to kind of put it out there. And now we're able to get eyes to a product. We're able to get more people to look at a product. And through the limited time that I've been doing this stuff, I've had companies that have had a lot of success, having people call them, and, who knows if they would have contacted them or not. I don't know. I don't know if it came from PlayFast. The return on investment is the hardest thing for me to track with some of the companies that I'm working with. But, at the end of the day, the bottom line is I know that I'll drive more eyes to the product, and I know that what we're doing with PlayFast will get more people to look at the product. I just don't know how much we can get sold. And that's another, interesting part of the business world that you got to look in, and I'm learning, day by day, step by step. It's an interesting process. It's something that almost kind of revitalized me in a way at, about 47 going on 48 years old, been a head coach for 22 or 23 years. Sometimes you get in a rut with the football season and the off season and spring football and the summer and the season, and then based on how the season goes, you get in these ups and downs and what your roster looks like and how good you think you're going to be and what kind of players you have and how many Division I recruits you have. You kind of sometimes you lose a little bit of the interest of what keeps you going. And the business side of things was a interesting, unique way for me to kind of revitalize my career in essence, because every day I wake up now I have something else to look forward to. So I know I have my job and my team that I got to take care of, and the kids at school that I got to take care of, and workouts and off-season plans, and I've got coaches that I've got to take care of. And it's been after the holidays, I give my guys a bunch of time off, and we don't have 8 million crazy meetings, and we don't meet just to have meetings, and a lot of them are chomping at the bit to get back, and now it's almost time to get back. So it's just one of those deals where it gave me another avenue to go down, something that wasn't just the same old monotonous. All right, it's December. All right, New Year starts. Okay, we got workouts that start. All right, we got to do, this, and this with the team, and it just gives you new life. So business ventures are amazing. I'm learning more and more each day. I'm interested to learn a ton at the clinic this week, talking to some of the vendors that are there and some of the bigger business partners that are there to see where we can take this thing, how big we can get it, and can we make it a viable option? Can we do it more than once a year? Can we do it in different parts of the country? How good is our reach with PlayFast Football? So, it's an interesting time for me. It's been a whirlwind. It's been, a crazy time where didn't know if it would ever happen. Got it off the ground. Didn't know if anybody would come. 120 people at least going to be there. Didn't know if we'd block rooms. We blocked 54 or 55 rooms. Didn't know if I'd get anybody, to sponsor it. I got two of my local companies that I do business with, Dome Hats and Baker Sporting Goods, to sponsor it. So just an amazing time. I'm excited. It's stressful. It's nerve-wracking. Trying to make sure that you've got everything set to get your clinic presenters paid and make sure their rooms are taken care of. And I've got a business associate who works with me that's been doing that, and the job he's had to do to get the hotel and get all the rooms right and who's staying what nights and who are we paying for what night and who's paying for themselves what night. Website stuff that he's helped with. So it's been a crazy year, and it's going to culminate with this clinic this weekend, and I am excited and fired up. Colby, what do we got in the plans? What haven't you told me yet?
I mean, I've gotten all my stuff, so hopefully. I haven't really told you anything because I haven't seen the venue. You know me, I'm a visual person.
Right. So you're going to wait till we get there, and then you're going to see the setup and the backdrop and where the sun is and where the ocean is.
Yeah, and then I'll plan it then, and then I won't tell you.
But we're definitely going to interview some people.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be walking around with a camera.
So
if you see me, we're
going to interview some people. We're going to live stream at least once.
Yeah.
Our first YouTube live stream.
Did you already put it out there?
I have not put it out there yet.
Because we need to figure out a time. Because you have a lot of speakers.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we can put out an exact time. We can try, but we've got the schedule.
Stay tuned on Friday.
Friday night at some point maybe, because you got the speakers going, and then after the speakers we got a social.
Yeah.
And then maybe maybe after the social we'll go live, maybe 10:15 or 10:30 or something like that.
We could do that.
or figure out a better time. But we're definitely going to try. We have not, I have not live streamed on YouTube. I didn't even know anything about it. And then once Colby started helping me out last year, he's the technical professional here, and he's the one that takes care of all that. So he showed me how we can do it and what we can do. And I've seen people do it before. And so, we're moving in that realm now. We're going to be looking to do more live streaming. This will probably be one of the last podcasts I ever do, either by myself or just me and Colby, because now we are going to start doing our podcasts. I'm going to start being able to interview, people from all over the country and then put those podcasts up. So I've got some coaches that I'm definitely interested in talking to and guys that I want to get on the podcast. And so, we're figuring out all the technical sides of that. For me, it's something that I have to do myself. I can't just research it. I can't look at it. I have to physically have somebody help me do it. And then once I do it and I learn how to do it, then I'm good from there. So, I'm interested in being able to, whether it be on the phone or in, Zoom interviews or, the Zoom app or website, whatever you want to call it. However we can do it, I'm interested in having a lot of podcast interviews from here on out. As the thing gets bigger and better and we get a little bit more leverage, I'd like to get some bigger names on if we could. But, again, that's part of the business process. That's part of the growth mindset and part of the thing that kind of keeps you going, every day that you wake up to say, man, wouldn't it be great to interview this person or this person? And you guys know from the first couple podcasts, I have a couple different interests. I've got obviously football and coaching football and, professional wrestling and golf and, music. And so there's a lot of people that I would love to talk to if I could ever get them to do an interview. So I think this year I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit and reach out to some people and see what they say. I think we've got a big enough following now that we can do that. And so this whole clinic this week is going to be documented. It's going to be videoed. It's going to be, interviews. It's going to be a lot of great stuff going on. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, when we drop it later on tonight or tomorrow on Wednesday, when a podcast comes out and you start listening, make sure this weekend you're around. Might do 1 or 2 YouTube live streams. We're going to record some sessions, and then we're going to figure out where to host them so people can possibly rent or buy those sessions if they can't make it to the clinic. So, this weekend should be a great time for me, great time for PlayFast Football, and a great time for football in Northeast Florida for coaches because they've never really had a clinic here. So it's going to be exciting, and then it'll be exciting to see what Colby comes up with because I know, he's shy on camera right now and on the mic, but I know for a fact.
I think it's just because it's your thing.
Well, yeah, because it's my thing, but...
Plus, you're on flow. Like, you're a person that you talk and you can just go. So
yeah, but I already know the way you operate. I'm going to get a text later tonight or tomorrow that says, hey, check this out, we should do this. And 90% of your ideas are pretty good.
Yeah.
But I know the way you operate, so I know it's going to be, hey, check this out, do this. Hey, check this out. And hey, you might even have people listening to the podcast on Thursday that hit us up on Patreon or on YouTube or on social media and say, hey, coach, it would be a good idea to try this, or hey, I'd like to see this. So
yeah, I would just say, tell me what people, because what I did, because when he first brought up the clinic thing, I'm a visual person.
And you've never really been to a coach's clinic, so you have no idea what's going on.
I've never been to a coach's clinic ever.
Right.
So my first instinct is, everything's on YouTube. I Googled Glacier, right?
Right.
First one, because everybody talks about it.
Yeah, it's the biggest one.
Yeah, all I see is people talking. I was like, but what do people do? Like, I know you just go and talk. That's all you do, but...
So basically what it is there's speakers set up, and you have a schedule, and we only have 2 rooms, like I said earlier. So there'll be, at each time block that we have set up, and I showed you that schedule of the times, there'll be one speaker in one room and another speaker in another room speaking on topics for 50 minutes. And then there'll be a 10-minute break. They'll come back and speak on their second topic. Then there'll be a 10-minute break, and they'll come back and speak on a third topic. So usually in each room, there's probably going to be 40 to 50 coaches listening in one room and 40 to 50 coaches listening in another room. Depending on the topic, there might be 70 in one room and 30 in another. But basically, it's a convention type deal where, you go listen to people speaking on topics that you want to learn about.
Yeah, but nowadays, I want to visually see how people enjoyed their clinic experience.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can go to the website and see someone type something up and like, oh yeah, the clinic was great.
But I think that'll be the great thing with what we do on YouTube and what we got on Patreon now and now with these podcasts. That's going to be the great thing because I think we're going to be able to take some of this information if we document it correctly. And, we videotape everything we can get our hands on. And we try and interview people. The more stuff that we have on file, the more that we can decide to pull and use wherever we want to use it.
Yeah.
And then go back and say, hey, how about these interviews on a YouTube segment? No, I don't like that. How about we do these for Patreon? Okay, maybe these.
Yeah.
You know, so
More
we've got some different options.
Yeah, more of the bigger names on Patreon.
Yeah.
Just because they are like they just won. They won back-to-back Florida championships. They shouldn't be on YouTube. Like you have to really.
Yeah.
I mean, just my opinion. I mean, I don't. I mean,
But you know,
depends on their athletes as well.
You know my opinion on the deal. The YouTube side is very close to me because I'm not sitting here doing this. There's no Coach Mac podcast.
Yeah.
There's no PlayFast without what I was able to do on YouTube because it was so simple to do it first, and then the following that I garnered on YouTube. I would never be doing any of this. Nobody would even know who Coach Mac is.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, what we talked about if we can get what I think we're gonna get, like the YouTube video, that's gonna probably be an hour, probably 2 hours, because they're gonna be 2 videos. I think
Gonna need to make 2 or 3 videos because
Yeah.
people won't sit down.
No, I know. I mean, we can chop it up into like part 1, part 2, and part 3.
And just keep bringing them back for more. But
And
see, I'm also
in that way people can actually see like where it is and like
oh, there will
coaches,
definitely be a video of waves crashing on the
and
beach.
then they're seeing other coaches like, oh, I really like this guy because of blah blah blah. This is what he taught me, instead of just Billy just sitting in front of a whiteboard.
Well, and it's, again, for me, it's also about networking. We're going to have 11 different states represented so far at this clinic. So, you know, again, that's the social media reach. This is a clinic in Northeast Florida that you would expect, you know, maybe you just get Northeast Florida, Southern Georgia coaches, but, you know, we got Michigan, a guy from Michigan coming, a guy from Colorado, a guy from Arkansas, people from New York, people from New Jersey, South Carolina, Alabama. I mean, we're going to have different parts of the country represented at a first-year clinic, which to me is absolutely amazing and still mind-blowing. But it's the networking that it's going to provide.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be the ability for all these different guys to get together in a setting outside of Glacier or Nike or these other clinics. And I think it's a little bit more laid back than some of those clinics, and there's a little bit more free time to where guys are going to be able to network more and you know, hopefully exchange ideas and
Plus, it is like a good vacation spot too. So
well, that's originally, to be honest with you, originally when we picked the venue, I thought that we may be able to get some people from the Midwest, the Northeast, places that are cold, and maybe they bring their family or their wives to come down. But I also know, as going to football clinics as a coach for 22 years, I know what football clinics are. You're either with your staff or with your buddies. It's a getaway. You know, it's a guy's weekend. So, you know, the venue was something that I was really nervous about, because when you look at it and you're there, and I put out a minute video on Instagram and Twitter last week, when you see the venue, you know, for the clinic, in a first-year clinic that we're having, it's unbelievable. And I thought it would be a great vacation spot or a great place, you know, for a family. But at the same time, I know what football clinics are. So I was nervous about the venue at first, because I knew it'd be great for vacations, but I didn't know how many guys wanted to come on vacation and how many guys wanted to use it as a guy's week out, like clinics can be. So I was a little bit nervous about that. But once we booked all the rooms, you know, it's kind of like, all right, man, this is really happening.
Yeah, I mean, plus St. Augustine is really nice. So like,
there's so many other things to do. Night of Lights is still going on, even though Christmas ended. Yeah.
Oh.
They still have a Christmas show in St. Augustine that goes through like January 31st.
I thought they ended the lights.
So, I mean, there's still a ton of things that are going on.
You have the old, what's that road called, with all like the small little town, like the small little shops?
Oh, well, in downtown St. Augustine, you got historic St. Augustine.
Yeah, you know, the little road that usually everybody goes. I mean, either way, St. Augustine's really nice, just because, I mean, if you're bringing your family, it's like if you're at the clinic, they can go out and explore. If you're with your guys, I mean, you have the night social, but there's other options. It's not.
I mean, and there's plenty of things right down the road that you can be doing. There's outlet malls within 20 minutes if you did come down with your wife or your family. But the bottom line is, I didn't really know. We had an idea that I thought maybe this could be a family weekend getaway, a vacation, because it is warm in Florida. So we kind of had 2 ideas going on, but at the end of the day, we booked the rooms, and we've got a great venue and a great setup and an unbelievable lineup. So it's just going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. And I think a lot of that is going to be on your shoulders. How much we can document and get out to people of what really went on and how it went on.
Well, my thing is, my personal preference is just getting as much stuff as possible. Yeah. And then just thinking, because once I have it, then the video will go in my head, like the Don't Hats one. Yeah. Like, I mean, I told you to walk towards the door, but then you said something that I was like, oh, that'd be a good like walking in video, because it's kind of talking about from where you started and where you're going, and you're going into a place that you're talking with someone that believed in you pretty much,
Yeah.
or gave you a shot, and you weren't a jerk to them. So now it's kind of like it's working both ways.
Yeah, and then when I ventured into the business world, all of a sudden I need all these tips and help and advice, and I'm green as green could be, and it's just one of those deals where that was a guy that I could lean on and count on, not only as a sponsor and as a business partner, but as somebody to say, hey, look, man, these questions are probably absurd to you, but I just have no idea.
Yeah.
And the great thing is seeing it come full circle, because we still have to pull it off this weekend. We still have to get through the weekend, knock on wood, but now that we've got it where it is, I think the leverage and the dynamic of the whole thing has changed to where now I think we're going to be able to, moving towards year 2 or another venue or another city, I think we're going to be able to draw more business interest in, to say, hey, look, here's what we did year 1. Here's the reach. Here's what we were able to put together. Here's what we did on YouTube. Check this out. And, business is all about the leverage.
Yeah, that's true. But where would your one place, if you could pick any place to have the clinic, where would it be?
Is this my Mount Rushmore of clinics, or
No, just if
going back to episode 1? Or?
If PlayFast Football had the opportunity to, if someone came up to you and said, hey, you can choose any place in America to have your clinic, where would you pick? Besides Florida.
Oh, a couple different thoughts. Number one, I would check my YouTube analytics and see where my biggest demographic is.
I'm already thinking of one.
California. That's
Exactly.
well, that's the biggest YouTube. Yeah. So obviously, and when you
That
look at
was
your
my first
analytics,
thought.
when you look at your YouTube analytics and Google analytics, your demographic and understanding your audience. So, I've never been to California. It'd be great.
Don't go to Los Angeles. San Francisco's nice. San Diego's nice.
I'd like to see it all.
I mean,
I want to go to Compton.
I didn't go to Compton.
I want to go right through.
Didn't go through that.
I grew up in New York.
Hey, not me. I didn't. Grew up in Augusta.
I want to see it all.
It's nice. Just LA is not.
But I'd like to see some of the things I grew up reading. I'd like to see some of the music scene. Growing up in the '80s as in junior high as a hair band kid, and hearing about Motley Crue and Van Halen being from out there on the West Coast, and then Metallica being West Coast as I got older. And I'd like to see some of that stuff. I'd like to see where I'd like to see the rainbow, and I'd like to go to the
Gotta go to a baseball game.
Yeah, maybe a baseball game. I'm not big.
Cheap. It doesn't.
I know, but
I'm not a big baseball fan.
I've gone to so many Yankee and Met games growing up as a kid.
Oh, okay. Then
It's just,
not that big of a deal.
I mean, it'd be nice to see some stadiums and some football stadiums, but I'd like to go see where Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, God rest his soul. I'd like to see where he hung out and did all his drinking and partying and playing slots at the Rainbow, and all these stories you hear about as a kid growing up, and so that part would be interesting. Hollywood obviously would be interesting. San Francisco would be interesting. I got a brother that lives in Oregon. I've been there once. The West Coast was phenomenal. So obviously I would think California.
If you do ever get to that point, do a road trip. Start in San Diego and go up.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Second choice would maybe, somewhere in the Northeast, just because that's where I'm from. And I've got so many ties and connections to Long Island that it'd be nice to go back. I think I could generate a lot of interest in that area with people that I know that are still in coaching, and then be able to give back. Even though most of the guys that coach me are probably out of it now, but
I think they'd still come.
just to be able to give back to the guys that kind of led me down the path that I'm on now, and the guys that 35 years ago, who knows if they knew where coaching would go or where social media and YouTube and the internet would go, and who knew if 35 years ago those guys were probably trying to make it through practice without kicking me off the team at that time. Who knew that in 2020 this is where we would be? But I would say that Texas would obviously be.
I forgot about Texas.
Texas would be a no-brainer, but there's so many good clinics in Texas now, and they support their association so well that I don't know if we could get it off the ground in Texas. Alabama would be a great one for me because I'm a Crimson Tide fan. And I think, Midwest, I think of Ohio. I think Ohio is a football just...
Ohio is a football.
Yeah, it's just an area you think football. You think Ohio, you think good, tough football. So, I would think those are some. I like to venture up the coast. North Carolina, South Carolina. I'd like to do one in Georgia. So, got a lot of great ideas, a lot of great things. But if you had to ask me one, I'd go California first because of demographics, 2 would be New York or Long Island or maybe even Atlantic City, just because that's where I'm from.
I wouldn't mind like Ohio or Michigan, something like that.
And 3 would be Texas, just because,
Texas.
you know, I'm not going to lie, as a Florida football coach, everything Texas does is right. How they do it is right. And, you know, I'm not moving. I've already talked about this a million times to people. My wife and kids are here. We are not moving unless I got a college or an NFL job. So I'm never going to experience Texas high school football. But from everything I see,
Texas offered you a job, or someone already did.
we're not going.
Oh.
I'd have to go on my own.
So if like a big time Texas,
They're almost all of them are big time.
Oh, okay. Well, if
Most of
like,
the head coaches in Texas are either going to be the AD and the head coach, or they're going to be the head coach and probably teach 1 or 2 classes if they teach, and they're going to make $150,000.
So if one of the coaches that's been winning, you have like pretty much the best high school players each season, which I'm pretty sure they always do. And they're like, Coach Mack, we need you. Like, I'm going to be AD, got you covered. Here's a contract.
Well, if they've got the best players, they don't need me, because those they'll win probably regardless.
Yeah, but you still, I mean, yeah, that's true. But still.
And I've always said, you don't turn down promotions, obviously, but I don't want those kind of jobs, because I think it's harder to be successful when you're following that much success. Like, I look at the guy who's going to follow Nick Saban. How do you do it? Yeah, Alabama's got the tools. Yeah, Alabama's got the players if you keep recruiting, but
Who followed him at LSU? Les Miles?
yeah, I think so.
He did all right.
He did okay, but there's
maybe
no what's the measure of success?
That's true.
You know what I mean? If you take over a place that's got potential, that's good, but maybe they haven't reached their potential, people are chomping at the bit for results, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, if you take over a turnkey operation, there's a good chance, if you know what you're doing and, you know, you're organized and you've got all your offensive and defensive thoughts and your coaching staff and, you know, you got all your ducks in a row, and your strength, obviously your strength coach in Texas would be huge, but in everywhere in football, you know, your strength coach is important, if not the most important. But if you got all those things in a row and you're ready to go and you take over a turnkey operation, you're probably going to be successful. But if you go somewhere that's 11-1 every year, all you can do is go 12-0.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to follow. I'm not really, you know, now I wouldn't turn it down if it was a lot of money, but I'm not interested in jobs like that.
Now, what do you feel about like ESPN and stuff following like a player or you? Like
They've done it before.
like you?
Well, ESPN's never followed me for anything.
Well, no, but like, what if like you had like the QB1, like Gainesville had that player? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, I mean, you see it on TV and you think the coach is just like, it doesn't matter, like he's good.
I don't.
Would it bother you?
No, it wouldn't bother me, but I don't trust anything I see on TV, because TV's about ratings, and I think to get ratings you have to slant things the way that you want to slant them. So any of those shows, even Hard Knocks to an extent, I think a lot of that stuff is authentic, but I think there's a bunch of it that's kind of scripted in a way to say, hey, look, we need ratings, we need this, we need this.
I mean, because
There's no such thing as reality TV. It's not real.
Honestly,
TV is ratings.
Well, because the guy from Gainesville, I think
Yeah, he didn't play when we played.
Yeah, I noticed that. Someone told me he was on there, and I was like, I've never heard about it. So I Googled it, and apparently, like, the school district was kind of worried about it because they didn't want them to put things on the show that they didn't want, or to make the school look bad or make him look bad. So, I mean, I didn't know if that was like...
I mean, I think the schools, the coaches, everybody, you're protecting your own interests with your program, but at the same time, you're also protecting the interests of the ESPNs of the world, or whoever is putting you on TV. You got to put out a product for them.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if you've got a program maybe, or if you don't want somebody, you don't accept that if you're not willing to have somebody take a look at your program. So if you've got discipline issues, or you've got budget issues, and you've got no equipment, and you just happen to have a great player on your hands, but you don't want people to see your facility, or you don't want people to see how you practice because the structure's not good, or the coaching, you're scared, or whatever it is, then you don't sign on to something like that. But, you know, at the same time, you got to protect your program, but you got to protect the interests of the, you know, I don't know what goes on behind programs like that, but somebody somewhere is probably making money.
Yeah, I mean, gotta make money.
So in order for them to make money, I don't know if your school could make money somehow, or your program.
I feel like
the program would.
I feel like the district would, or they'd have to give some to the school, because they're in the school, they're following the kid, following at home. I mean, obviously the parent can't make money.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But they've done some stuff. There's been some stuff following coaches in Texas and different places, and what's it like a day in their life, and that stuff's interesting, and, it'd be interesting to do something like that. Obviously, there's not going to be much a day in the life of Coach Mack. I don't win enough, and
I don't think. I mean, it's not all about winning. It's kind of something.
well, those things are.
Yeah, I mean,
those things are. But if somebody wanted to take a look and say, all right, hey, as a head football coach, that teaches 5 weight training classes during the day, and then in the off season you have these things to do, and then you've got YouTube stuff going on and Twitter stuff and going on. What's it like during this time of year? That would be interesting.
Yeah, if you're looking at the whole is it totality?
Totality.
Yes. I mean, if you're looking at it like that, you're seeing, okay, what's he do during football season? Okay, football season's off. Okay, now what's he do? Because pretty sure some people are like, how do you have time to shoot YouTube videos? And then, like, you do weightlifting, you do all that. So, like, I think seeing, because Texas, I think they only do football, right?
Most of it. I can't speak for all those guys,
No,
and I don't want to
okay,
say something on a podcast that's not true, but from what I've understood from people, most of them
Or some, that's not just
don't.
in Texas.
A lot of them don't even teach.
Yeah.
Or if they do teach, it's 1 or 2 athletic periods with all their players in them. And it is what it is. God
Just
bless
say
all of them.
in general, like, let's say some schools, they don't do it. They don't teach other classes or have weight.
All right, so the biggest question that's going to come up is, what do you do all day?
Pretty much. Like, how do you juggle all this stuff? Like, you do a lot.
Well, I don't even think it's how do you juggle all this. I think people get jealous and look at them and go, well, heck, what do you do 5 hours during the day when it's not football stuff? And then in the off season, when you're not preparing for practice and everything else, what do you do all day? Now, here's what I always worried about, because it happens here. It happens here in Florida because people have no idea what they're talking about. But I always worried about other teachers taking it out on your kids because they hate what you do because they think you do nothing.
I've gotten that a lot. No, I've heard it a lot. Like,
I mean, it happens all the time.
just be
I'll tell you a great story at Ridgeview, probably before you got there. All right, early on, we had this young guy that was coaching, and I was young at the time. I was probably 30, and this guy was probably 28 or whatever he was, and he was coaching soccer. And it was that time in Florida where soccer and football were both going on at the same time. And in our locker room, we used to have tile floors before we put carpet in at Ridgeview. So it was like 6:15, 6:30 at night in October. Soccer had a preseason game or something, and we were still in our season. So practice had ended, all the kids had gone home, and it was 6:30, and they use our locker room for their pregame stuff or whatever. So like 6:15, he comes in to get ready to use the locker room, and I was mopping. And the guy said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, why are you mopping the floor?" I said, "Well, it has to get done somehow, and the custodian that does the gym today isn't here, so who's going to mop the floor?" And the guy said, "Oh, I thought you just sat in your office all day." And I thought about it, and obviously I was pissed, but then I thought about it for a second. I said, is that what everybody thinks?
Yep.
Like, does everybody think you just sit
That's
in
what
an
everybody-
office?
That's what everybody thinks a coach does and an AD does.
Yeah.
I've learned that from high school. This is my second year in high school.
Yeah, so I mean, it's that part would bother me if people knew that I made X amount of money and I had no classes. Then you get the animosity towards you that I would never want. I don't care about the animosity towards me. If that's what they think and they have no idea what I go through, I don't need people to know.
But
I don't want anybody. It's not like I need anybody to feel sorry for me. I chose what I do. I put in the time I put in because I want to and I need to. I don't want it taken out on my kids. So I don't want my football players being treated differently because, they think we're different or we're special because we're not.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, some coaches don't do anything,
Yeah.
but they win. But then again, their players are like superstars. They always have 4-star players. So you
That all balances itself out.
Yeah,
There's enough of that around. There's enough. It is what it is.
you're gonna have coaches that don't do anything, and their kids aren't. I mean, it's not about the kids. Kids,
Either way, anybody that wins,
yeah,
they do
winning,
something.
Yeah, winning.
Whether they have great players or not, they have to have some type of ability to function
Yeah.
in a setting to win games and not lose them.
Well, and people look at coaches as the disciplined people.
Yeah, usually. But that all depends on where you're at, too, and how much they'll let you get away with and what they'll let you do. If they'll let the discipline go to the coach first, or maybe if the coach is even the dean of discipline, then you can handle all that. If it goes somewhere else before it gets to you, you don't have a chance.
Yeah, and I feel like teachers who use
Now,
that.
teachers use it. There's a lot of good teachers here that use it correctly, and
I feel like if you go through their steps, like if the teacher tries to do something and goes through the steps, and I feel like football. I don't know, because sometimes I'm like the football coach or coach in general should be first, but then sometimes I'm like, if you can't handle it in your class, but then some kids only care about sports.
well, It depends on the severity of it and what you can and can't handle. First of all, as any classroom teacher, the first thing, classroom management, everything that can be handled in your class needs to be handled in your class. Don't create extra paperwork. Don't push it onto administration, because then down the road, they're going to wonder how you take care of your class if you always have all these kids written up. So I tried to never get anything out of my classroom when I was first year teaching in social studies, and even in the gym or even like in the field house. Anything that happens down there, I try to take care of first. And if I can't, or if it needs to go somewhere else, then it does, because I want to keep things off of the AD's plate and the principal's plate, because they have enough things to do.
I want to keep them out of my class.
Well,
unless they have to come to observe me.
Yeah,
But
I agree with
I'm
that.
a person that I don't like people in my class.
But there are some times, I will tell you this, depending on the mood I'm in, there are some times where, after a 5th or 6th email about something, I every once in a while I tend to draft up an email that says, hey, I'm having the same problem on the field. This kid cannot tackle, he cannot play cover 2, and he has absolutely no idea what to do on punt team. Do you think you could help him during your English class? Now, I always delete it and never send it, but sometimes you get all these requests from teachers about help, which I'm thankful for. But sometimes it gets to the point where it's like, listen, you're coming to me with all these issues in your class. I have the same issues on a football field with the kid. Can you help me with my football issues in your class, or can I just help you that way?
I feel like that'd be a good response. I wonder what someone would
I've
say.
drafted about 50 of those in my career, and I've never sent them.
You should save it. You should just save it and just have it.
Probably on when I'm ready to retire and go
You
out,
should
I think
save it.
it'll be one
You should send to the
mega
person
email that's going to go to somebody and say, hey, by the way,
No, you should just wait until that.
this kid can't remember his combination. If he gets his practice pants every day, he cannot tackle, he cannot block, he did not fundraise.
He doesn't do anything.
Can you please help me in your science class with this? I appreciate it.
Coach,
Thank you.
That'd be,
Good night.
dude.
Would that
they
be-
would be so mad.
Could I drop it?
I would drop it.
Yeah.
They'd go straight on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to go ask the coach. He said this. Yeah.
But luckily in my career, 90% of teachers have been great. The school I'm at now, it's great. I get very few emails, and when I do, I know that the people are having a hard time. And so, that just comes with the territory, though. But again, getting back to the original point, there are people out there that think you do absolutely nothing. And the good thing in Florida is at least we're not getting paid
That's
some
true.
crazy amount, because if I was in Texas making that kind of money and they thought I just sat around all day, that would drive me nuts.
That's true. I mean, hopefully we'll get that raise.
Yeah, hopefully one day. One day. So, moving on. All right. Big week in golf.
Oh yeah, golf. Tiger
Big
Woods
week in
stuff.
golf. Tiger Woods, y'all.
Let me do some Googles because I know nothing about golf.
You know nothing about golf, so look it up.
My friends.
Farmers Insurance,
My friend's
back
little brother.
on the West Coast where he grew up, Torrey Pines. So obviously it's Tiger in 2020. Everybody's excited after the President's Cup. Obviously, back on the West Coast where he grew up. Just a lot of fascinating storylines.
Is Rory
McIlroy.
is he in it?
I don't know if he's playing this week or not.
I know some golf. No, I don't.
I don't know if he's playing this week or not.
All right, so
But you got Tiger Woods coming back, which is exciting this week. Going to start leading up to his Masters prep. The Masters in 3.5 months now, so
the
you got that.
Is $7 million.
Yeah, golf's a big money game. Then you got Lee Westwood, who just won on the European Tour in Dubai, and he just won in 4 decades. That's pretty good.
He hasn't won.
No. He's won in 4 different decades.
Jesus. So he's like the Vince Carter of.
Kind of.
But Vince Carter has.
But it's different in golf because you can compete when you're older.
Yeah, that's true.
But he was one of the best players, probably number 1 in the world at one point in his career, and still, I believe, probably one of the best players, if not best stats of any player to not have a major yet.
My friend's trying to get me to go golfing. Not happening. He said that if I went golfing, I would really like it. And I don't know if I told you or not, but golfing's one of those sports that I don't want to like. Like, if I go out and I enjoy it, I'm going to be mad because I like it and I don't want to like it. That's why I don't golf. I've been to Top Golf, but that's kind of boring. Like, after like the 3rd time, I'm like, I don't need to come back here ever again.
You know, here's how good the internet is.
Oh, great.
He just won on Saturday or Sunday, depending on the time frame you're in.
Yeah.
Wikipedia already has it listed that he's won in 4 different decades.
Look at you, are you the Wikipedia of golf?
So I got my phone. My buddy Nelly, who I give a shout out to on every podcast, told me the other day, put your phone away. I said, no, I need it.
No, we need it. It's podcast.
It's my computer. It already says Westwood has also won tournaments in 4 decades. It just happened 2 days ago.
People are on Wikipedia like
And
crazy.
frequently been mentioned as one of the best golfers without a major championship victory, despite several near misses, including 3 runner-up finishes. So, obviously, that's a big deal.
Obviously.
People are. I think it's a big
I would
deal.
have never known if you didn't say
Well,
anything.
I think it's a big deal because now it's going to stir up the talk that maybe he can win one this year. Guys winning when they're older, like Tiger. Winning in 4 different decades, pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. I'm trying to look for an article, and all of them are just not really intriguing to me.
So, it's going to be an interesting week in golf. You had, if anybody watched, John Smoltz won the Pro-Am version on the LPGA Tour, and I don't know if anybody else out there noticed, but he had one of those new S7K standalone putters, and every once in a while, he didn't use it all the time to line up, but every once in a while, I was watching the broadcast and wasn't paying attention to the putter he had, and he lined up a putt and stepped away from it, and that putter stood there, and I said, that thing is already out on TV. That's going to be the next big or the biggest innovation in golf. Standalone putter. So you have no idea what I'm talking about, but
No idea.
when you're working on
visualize it, but I'm
putting is such a difficult thing to do, and it has a lot to do with aim and alignment and speed and the break of the greens and undulations in greens and the grain and the type of grass and uphill, downhill and all these other things. But the alignment and knowing that you're aligned and you're starting the ball if you make the proper stroke on the right line drives people. I've been playing golf for 47. I've been playing golf for 33 or 34 years now. I've already mentioned on the podcast at one point I was around scratch. I'm back up to probably 3 or 4 now.
Don't know what that is.
Though you don't know what it is, but it's decent for a public golfer, amateur golfer. And I still struggle to this day with alignment putting and get into funks where I can't get the ball on line. And more so than the stroke, it's how I have it lined up, and I think I'm here, but I'm not. So to have a putter that you can actually get behind, when you set the putter behind the ball, it stands by itself, so if you let go, it stays in position. You can walk behind it and now look at where the putter face is aiming to see if you're aimed correctly.
Wouldn't that be counting as cheating?
No, because you cannot. Your caddy cannot be behind you when you take a shot on in professional golf, but they can be behind you to line you up. And then once you go to get ready to hit a shot, they have to remove from there. They can't stand there. So you'll see it. You rarely see it on the PGA Tour, but you'll see it on the LPGA Tour a lot. The caddy will stand behind them, and the player will get lined up, and the caddy will say yes or no, or left or right a little bit, whatever. And then when they're good, the caddy will say, okay or good. They'll walk away, and then the player has a routine of when to hit the shot from there. So there'll be caddies that get behind them when they're putting, and they can't stand there the entire time.
So, with a caddy, isn't there a way that they can cheat?
What do you mean?
Like, can't caddies get in trouble besides like whatever you just said? Isn't
Well, obviously there's rules, but how are you going to cheat? Everything's on television nowadays.
No, I know, but isn't it, because I want to say one of them got in trouble, maybe it was Tigers? Like they can't tell you what what golf, I don't even know what the other thing is.
Club?
Yeah, they can't tell you what club to use or something like that.
Oh, no, they can't. You can't outwardly tell opponents or anybody else what clubs to hit. Guys will look in each other's bag all the time. They'll come over and look in the bag and see what club's missing.
Okay.
Now, what the caddies will also do to reporters, they'll give hand gestures, like the guy that's on the side doing a play-by-play, they'll give him a hand gesture on it and say, hey, 6-iron. And then the guy will tell up top, they'll ask him, hey, what's he got? And the guy down, that's doing play-by-play in the group will say he's got 6-iron.
Got it.
And that's most of the time. So the caddies will relay information that way, but
Okay.
can't come out and tell you. Now, when you play casual golf with your buddies or whatever, or when we play, I just played around yesterday, and you can tell a guy, say, I hit 7-iron, I hit 8-iron.
Yeah.
You can't do that on tour.
Yeah, okay.
But you can walk by somebody's bag. You can look in a bag and see what's not in there. Now, you won't see that happen blatantly a lot on TV, but usually golf's one of those strange games where you only see the shots hit on TV. You don't see all the other stuff that goes on.
Yeah,
So there's so much.
walking.
Yeah, but there's so much, and the camera angles change from player to player, from hole to hole all the time, that you don't see a lot of that.
Yeah. I thought like.
But I mean, there's things that caddies can do to and a lot of it not on purpose, but there's things that if they don't know the rules, they can get some penalties called on their player, but it's really not,
It's not
there's so
nice.
many people out there and so many cameras out there. It's not like a caddy can go out and throw a ball out and say, hey, I found it. It's not like a caddy can, fluff your lie up or kick your ball around with his foot and say, hey, I found it.
Oh, yeah, because there's people everywhere.
Yeah, and there's cameras everywhere.
Oh, yeah,
So I think the new S7K, I think it is. I think that's going to be one of the newest innovations out there. I hit the new Callaway Maverick driver. For everybody out there that's a Callaway player, I myself personally hit it 8 yards further than the Epic Flash that I've used at times. I don't know if it was the shaft combination. I had an even flow Riptide stiff 52-gram shaft, so I don't know if it was a lighter. I don't know if it was the setup. I had it set up at 10.5 degrees. I don't know if it was the launch angle to set up the shaft combination. I demoed it at my club yesterday, and everybody I played with in my group said I hit it 8 to 10 yards further, and that's the driver that I need to have. Don't know if I'm going to get it or not because I'd like to try some other drivers that are out there, but I hit the new Callaway Maverick, and I know some people didn't like it, some people do. I absolutely loved it. The sound is phenomenal. When I hit it yesterday, it was long for me. So that's one of the new products out there. I am in, right now I'm in the market for new irons, so I'm looking to see what's out there. There's a Callaway demo day coming up at my club at Eagle Harbor on February 14th where I get to go out and demo clubs, and they'll put you on a TrackMan, which ball speed and all kind of things that you need to know to get fitted. I said this on one of the other podcasts. This is the year that I want to get fitted for the right irons. I want to have all my gaps tested out so my lofts are all correct, so I know what my yardages are, and I have everything gapped out properly, which you don't understand anything about. I get it.
I'm trying to just think of what it is.
I'm trying to figure out my new set. For everybody out there that plays golf or is interested in golf, if you're interested, if not, you probably turn this segment off or scrub through it for 10 minutes. But what I'm going to do for the course that I play around here is I'm going to take one of my hybrids out of my bag. I'm going to go from my normal 15-degree 3-wood up to a 16 or 17-degree so I can get a little bit more trajectory coming into par 5s, but still be able to hit it with distance off a tee. I'm going to carry one hybrid, probably 20 or 21-degree, straight into a 5-iron to where my biggest gap is going to be between that hybrid and my 5-iron, which are the least amount of shots on the course I'm going to hit in a round, and I'm going to put an extra wedge in my bag. You got all this?
Got it.
So I'm going to add an extra wedge in my bag, so I'm going to go from hopefully a 43 or a 44-degree strong pitching wedge to a 48-degree gap wedge to a 52, 56, 60, and that's how I'm going to gap my wedges out because I have way more shots between 80 and 120 yards around than I do between 200 and 220. So it just makes sense for me at this time in my life to go to a new set. And I've never done that before. I've never had the luxury of getting clubs anytime I want to. I've never had the luxury of buying brand new stuff anytime it comes out. So this is the year that if the clinic goes well and things go well financially, this is the year that I'm looking new driver, new 3-wood, new irons, new wedges.
Going golfing every day.
Yep. Well, I'd like to, but my schedule won't allow it. But with that speaking, I know I talked about it last week, but the new handicap system, for me at least, has changed some things dramatically day to day because what happens to me in my golf game, for those of you that know anything about golf, leading into the summer, when football dies down after spring football and the weather gets beautiful in Florida in late February, early March, and you can start playing in daylight savings time, I can, after weight training or after workouts here at school, I can go at 5 o'clock and I can get in 9 holes. I can practice. I can do all the things I want to. So leading into the summer is when I'm going to be playing my best golf. All my best scores are going to be over the summer, and then I'm not going to play again from August until November. Well, the way the handicap system works is your handicap doesn't change because you don't play. So currently, I started playing again in about the middle to late November. And your handicap, the old system worked on your 20 most recent scores. Now it's going to be, it was 10 of your 20 most recent scores. Now it's going to be 8 of your 20 most recent scores. So I had a bunch of low scores over the summer in there, and I didn't play enough, so those scores were never getting knocked out. And when I started to come back playing, I started shooting way higher scores. All right, so in my handicap system, the scores that were in my revision on my card were 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 73, 74. Listed me as like a 1 handicap, okay? I come back and I'm shooting 79, 80, 81. I'm shooting 10 shots higher than I was when I left in the summer. But every time that I posted those scores, because I don't play enough, they weren't able to knock out all those low scores, so my handicap stayed the same. So for about 3 weeks, I was still playing off a 1 handicap, and in the local games I was playing with my buddies at the club, I was just getting torn apart because I'm playing like a 5 handicap, but I'm playing at a 1 handicap. Well, now that I've been able to play more and get more scores in, some of those low scores are starting to get knocked out, and my handicap is now going up to where it should be.
So it's pretty much depending on how much you play.
Well, yeah, because the more you play, the more scores you put in. The more scores you put in, if they fluctuate, you get to knock out some of your best or worst scores. So like if you want your handicap to go down because you're trying to get in an event and you want it to be lower, you got to knock out some of your highest scores by posting better scores. Well, for me right now, I just want to be able to play competitively to the way I'm playing. So I need some of those low scores from the summer when I was playing my best golf. I need to knock those out, and they won't get knocked out until I post enough scores. So the scores that I'm shooting and posting aren't doing me any good because my handicap's staying the same, and I'm going out there and getting my wallet handed to me by all these guys because I can't play to my handicap. That's the way golf works.
Okay.
So that's why everybody loves golf, because guys can go out there and have the same chance in a Friday game because you play to a certain handicap. So if I play, let's say if I play to a 5 and you play to a 10,
Okay.
all right, and
Isn't high numbers bad in golf?
yes.
Okay.
So if I play to a 5 and you play to a 10, all right, I'm supposed to be 5 shots better than you. If we go out and shoot the same score, all right, there's a good chance in any type of money game that we're playing in, you got a way better chance of winning money than I do because you shot a better score, I shot an average score.
Didn't I shoot a 10 though?
No, you're a 10 handicap. A 10 handicap basically means you're probably supposed to shoot 10 over par on every round in the easiest way I can explain it to you.
Oh, okay.
It's based on courses and ratings and difficulty and slope difficulty. But if I'm a 5 and you're a 10, that means I should be 5 over par on the average round of golf. There's going to be good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I should be 5 over and you should be 10 over at the end of the day.
Okay.
Well, let's say we both shoot 5 over. I shoot my average, you're 5 better than your average. If we're in some type of money game and you're playing off your handicap, your score, even though it's the same as mine, is way better than mine in the game.
Because I'm usually 10.
Yeah, because you're getting more shots somewhere along the line
God.
in a game.
God.
Now, the PGA Tour and all those professional events, there is no handicap. You don't get candy, you don't get strokes. But if you play in local games at clubs, guys aren't getting in a game unless their handicap is there. I'm not going to go out and play Tiger Woods straight up for money. I would. I would. I'm that dumb, but it doesn't make sense.
Hopefully it's
So in golf, you want to get the candy, the strokes, the pops where they all come in.
Got it.
So when I go up to my member guests that I play in New York almost every year, I go up with a low handicap and I get killed every time I go up there. Because I don't play enough golf coming out of football season. My handicap doesn't change. I'm supposed to be playing low, but I can't play to it. And then I give shots to all these guys and they just kill me.
So you just need to play more.
Yeah, because golf doesn't take into the fact that you had time off.
Yeah.
You don't get 4 months off and a handicap system comes in and says, hey, you haven't played in a while, we're dropping your handicap. No, your handicap is based off the scores you shoot. So until you play more and post more scores, if they're bad, then eventually your handicap's going to go up. The good thing about the new handicap system, for me at least, is it's now changing every day. So when I do get scores, because I don't play 5 days a week like a lot of the guys at the club that I play at, because I only play once a week here or there or maybe twice a week, now my scores, at least when they go in, if they're going to count towards my handicap gets revised that next time I play, not in 2 weeks. It used to go every 2 weeks. So long story short, new Callaway driver is awesome. I'm looking for all new equipment and I'm looking to demo and try everything out there. If you're on Patreon, YouTube, or my social media and you want to tell me what you've hit that you love, let me know. But the handicap system is working for me. I'm now currently about a 3 or a 4. And I can almost play to that right now. If I start playing better and I get low again, I'll get low. But right now I don't need to be low because I'm not playing good.
Yeah.
Simple enough. Tiger Woods is back this week.
Tiger Woods is back.
All right, so everybody's going to be excited about that. Lee Westwood All right.
Who do you have winning?
This week, I don't.
Or do you just want to see it?
I just want to see Tiger. I don't care who wins.
Got it.
You know, but I mean, you got to take. Normally in golf, you got to take who's in form and who's hot and who's playing well, and so.
There's always someone new in golf. I feel like you think it's like Roy what?
McIlroy.
McIlroy. You think it's him, then like some random person comes out of the blue.
Well, there's always going to be a newer, younger guy that's going to contend for a top 10 or a number 1 in the world. Number 1 fluctuates all the time, but you can pick on your hand, and you know the best 10 golfers in the world with a chance to win. You can pretty much name who they are every week. Doesn't mean they're going to win every week because golf's different.
Yeah, and it's like different locations and stuff. Do they practice?
And they don't all play in the same tournaments. Yeah, they all have practice rounds. They'll get out there on Monday. They'll play the course. They'll practice. They have different routines of what they do, and then there'll be a pro-am, and they'll go out and play. The pro-am out there this week will be crazy because on the West Coast you'll have all kind of celebrities.
Do you ever go to the Players?
I've been to the Players a bunch, yeah.
Never been.
Yeah.
Kylie wants to go just to dress. That's my wife, by the way. She wants to go because people go and they like really dress up nice
Yeah.
and just take pictures.
Yeah.
Kind of like, so you just want to go for a picture. She's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Going for
Do whatever.
I haven't been yet, but eventually.
Players is cool. Players awesome. If you can sit near the 17th hole, the Island Green, it's an awesome experience.
My mom used to go to the Masters a lot when we lived in Augusta because she had to always help.
That's bucket list. I've never been.
She got a hat from the Masters. I think she gave it to
That's
her
awesome.
grandpa. But yeah, she used to
Collector's item.
Yeah, I don't know what he did with it. I'll have to see if he still has it.
It'd be worth money. People love Augusta. People love the Masters.
Yeah, so like every year when we lived there, she used to always work there. So that's like a tidbit about golf that I know.
But I did get a question from Nellie, the podcast shout out every week that I give to Nellie.
Nellie.
Brandon Nelligan. Nellie.
Nellie. Hello, Nellie.
You know, at one time me and him were both guests and a member guest in North Hempstead Country Club in New York, and 2 notoriously bad putters. And at that time, it was legal to use a belly putter, which a belly putter anchors into your stomach.
Yeah.
It anchors into your stomach, so then it makes your stroke more consistent. It's now illegal, but at that time it was legal, so I had one. So they have these putting competitions where you put in like $20 and you pick a partner. It doesn't have to be your partner in the tournament. It's a little side game.
Yeah.
And it goes on all day, and then the best score wins. And I was putting with a belly putter at the time. And me and Nellie are notoriously bad putters. We won the thing. And we won like $300 a piece or whatever it was. And it was the team was Nellie and Belly. And then the whole time while we collected the money, I just kept saying, Nellie, I love you. Nellie,
back when that song was.
Oh, if you're old enough, yeah, everybody knows who Nellie
Yeah,
was, but this is not that Nellie.
No, I know. I'm just saying that song was back when I was in junior high.
Yeah, so there's another interesting tidbit on the Coach Mac train.
He loves belly.
Side games at member guests with one of our Patreon members.
So isn't that what
He wanted to know, though, interestingly enough, he wanted to know the top 3 spots for me if I could play in Pro-Ams, which is the events like on a Wednesday of the tournament. So obviously Sawgrass won because now it's local for me and I'd like to play in a local one.
Mm-hmm.
We both agree on the Waste Management in Phoenix because it's a raucous crowd with, you know, people are drinking all day. They get crates. Just on a PGA Tour, it's known as like the craziest stop on a tour. So that would be an interesting atmosphere just to play golf in.
And the Masters.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's probably no Pro-Am at the Masters, I don't think.
Okay.
At the majors usually. And then I would go Jack's tournament at Memorial in Ohio, just because it's Jack Nicklaus. So, you know, not that you care, but those are my three.
golf knowledge is not.
Those are my 3 Pro-Ams.
But I feel like the more I'm here, I'm probably going to get better.
Yeah, you will.
Because I'm the person that.
National championship done.
Oh.
LSU.
I was nervous at first. I was a little nervous.
Great start for Clemson.
Great start.
LSU's offense is just too much. Might be the best offense ever. Might go down as the best offense ever. Joe Burrow was a machine this year.
Disgusting. They said that, I was watching ESPN, and they said that they feel like the Clemson receivers got kind of scared because they've never been
I think
hit.
they were. Yeah, but no, I think they were banged up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that defense may have been better than they had faced a lot in the ACC, but I think they were banged up going in a little bit. Trevor Lawrence had a bad game.
Yeah, they kept talking about his 13 overthrows or something like that.
Hey, he didn't play good. Joe Burrow did. LSU was probably the best team in football this year, and I think the game went the way it probably should have went.
Speaking of Clemson, do you think ETN should stay or go? He says he's staying.
That's very easy.
I say go.
No, it's very simple.
What?
You get a draft grade. Clemson is now right there with Alabama with all the knowledge and everything that they have. Every player has a right to it. They probably have more connections maybe than some other schools, but you get a draft grade, you get evaluated. If they tell you first round, maybe early second round, you go. If they tell you mid-second round, third round, you stay.
You don't think he got like early first?
I am not a draft expert.
No, I know,
number one.
but I'm just...
I don't know where he ranks as a running back. I don't know what the NFL thinks of him. If he gets a first-round grade, you go and you don't risk injury, and you take your money now and you make it while you can make it. If you don't get a first-round grade, you think about coming back. Yeah, you risk injury, but the bottom line is the higher you get selected, the more bonus money.
Does he also like think about if Clemson's not as good as they are? Granted, they're getting Trevor Lawrence.
I wouldn't.
So that doesn't matter?
I don't think so. He's going to be evaluated as an individual prospect. His numbers may go down a little bit, but they're going to be looking at size, speed, durability, vision, hands, ability to block people. They're going to give him a grade.
So I'm trying to think of, off the top of my head, I'm not a college football expert, but we know we have the running back from Ohio State.
J.K. Dobbins.
Yep, we have Clemson. I want to say there's always one from Wisconsin, but I can't think of that.
Jonathan Taylor.
Maybe. And I don't know. But me personally, I think unless he feels like he's going to win a national championship, I think he should have left. Just because most running backs, they don't have that long life shelf. So if you already know you're good, granted, as you said,
Shelf life.
Shelf life. What did I say?
Life shelf.
Same thing. So I mean, but still, like if he's gonna be first round, I say go.
Yes, there's no brainer. Nobody's arguing that.
I don't know why he wouldn't go. I feel like this is dumb.
The draft is so messed up. They do what they do. I disagree all the time. I've been wrong a million times, but I've been right a million times. It is what it is. The draft can be hit or miss. First round grade, go. Early second round grade, probably still go. Make your bonus money. You know, running back, like you said, not going to play a lot of years in the league anyways. Make as much as you can while you can. Because you get anything worse than middle of the second round, do not go because you're not going to get big bonus money. You're not going to get a great first year contract. And then as a running back, when it comes time to year 4 or maybe your second contract, you got to hope that you're healthy enough and you did well enough to get a big second contract. Otherwise, you missed out on your opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what running backs is about. Like my brother was like, you can get to if you can get to your second contract, make that big money, play maybe a couple more years.
I mean, that's usually the way it is in the NFL with most players because most players' first contracts aren't going to be the major ones except for the high first-round picks, and the first-round picks, they're getting money that you just cannot turn down. Yeah. And if they bust, they're going to be better than all of us anyways.
Yeah.
So you just go. But if you don't get that grade, you don't go. Now, while you talk about that, I think Clemson's got as good a chance as anybody, you know, having continued success because they don't lose coaches.
Yeah.
Now, they lost one, you know, co-offensive coordinator. Jeff Scott is going to be the head coach at USF, but Brent Venables, who's one of the best defensive coordinators in the game, never leaves. Millions of opportunities, millions of dollars on the table. He never leaves.
Why do you think that? Do you think it's just
he's got a son playing there, number one. I think he loves Clemson. He loves the situation with Dabo Swinney. He may not want to be a head coach. I can't speak for the man.
Yeah.
All I know is his name's up every year, and he could have a lot of jobs, and he doesn't go. Alabama changes coaches. Every year their guys are constantly going and getting bigger jobs.
Yeah.
LSU, from the time they won the national championship, has already lost a coordinator and a half.
Yeah.
Dave Aranda got the Baylor job, their defensive coordinator. Joe Brady, their passing game coordinator, who everybody puts...
Is that the guy that you talked about earlier?
Everybody gives all the credit to him coming from the Saints and putting in an NFL-style passing game and making Joe Burrow and those receivers do what they did. And I'm not going to argue one way or the other. I think it's a little bit overblown, but I think there's something to it.
Yeah.
He's already with the Carolina Panthers. National championship isn't 10 days old, and they've already lost an co-offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. Alabama loses coaches every year. Clemson seems to hang on. That's why they're going to continue to be okay.
Yeah. It could be just like a commitment thing. I mean, granted, I feel like people who go as a coordinator, offense, defense, special teams, whatever, their main goal is to be a head coach.
Yeah, eventually.
But I guess at their point, maybe they see like they have so much good talent that they could keep running it back each year. So it's kind of like once they feel like...
you could stay and continue with that success each year, but then where do you go from there? Do you want to be a head coach? Do you want to go to a... If you're a Clemson, there is no bigger school anymore. You can't really go... Where do you go from there? You can either be a head coach or you go to the NFL. If you're a coordinator, you can't be a coordinator. There's no better job.
Yeah.
Now, you could go home somewhere, where you graduated from, where you grew up, and that could be a calling. But right now, there's not going to be... The money's going to be what you want, and the talent and everything else is going to be what you want. At Clemson, there's no... You can't even go to... I wouldn't even say Alabama. Right now, you can't say leave Clemson and go to Alabama for a step up. It's not anymore. Clemson is Clemson.
Clemson is the...
And Alabama is Alabama. Now LSU's back. But LSU's already lost. So I look at the coaching. The coaching turnover is a big deal. Those were two really good ones, and they've already lost them in 10 days after losing the championship. Got to replace them both. That's just as important as replacing players. Players are a big part of it, but
yeah, I mean, coaching.
At that level, when you get to winning the national championship, coaching plays a role.
And the way that they did it?
Coaching plays a role. There's probably 8 or 9 games a year at LSU where coaching has nothing to do with it. Yeah. And then there's 2 or 3.
What about like when they're down? Like LSU was down for Texas, I think. And I mean, granted, Texas isn't Texas how it used to be. But do you think that's more of a player thing or more of a play call?
I mean, sometimes it could be play calling. Sometimes it could be, things don't go your way. The other team has some things in that you didn't expect or whatever it was. But usually, most of the time, by the time the game starts playing itself out, the better teams find a way to make the adjustments they need to make. And then the players and the speed and size and the strength and all that stuff catches up. And maybe a team gets a couple breaks early. Maybe a team gets a few penalties to go their way. A ball bounces their way. A turnover. A trick play. Momentum for a little bit. But eventually at that level, if the talent's lopsided, it catches up. And I don't know how much. The coaching catches up every once in a while, but the coaching's always going to be one of those things that everybody. If you lose, you didn't coach well.
Yeah.
If you win, you made great adjustments. So obviously LSU made great. After the start of the game, LSU made great adjustments. Obviously, right? Clemson maybe didn't make adjustments. Obviously, right? Well, maybe the players at LSU that were going to be better in that game, maybe they eventually just started playing better.
Some people are slow starters. But I mean, you can also talk about the coaching with Jason Garrett. They had that stacked Dallas team, and I mean, that's what people are saying, that his coaching with that good of a team should have been better.
I just think coaching is always going to be one of those things that you can look at and talk about. If you're not winning, you can always go to coaches. If you're winning, you can look at the coaches that are winning, and those are the guys. It's always going to be something that's there. It's always going to be something that's talked about. I think it's great because it's what makes those guys get paid so much money. I think it's terrible because a lot of the people that are talking about it have no clue what they're talking about. But, at the same time, you just get to a point. Jason Garrett got to a point in Dallas where he's got to go.
Yeah.
And here's the way the NFL works. They were top of the league in offense in almost every category. So Jason Garrett's already got 17 interviews to be an offensive coordinator.
He has a job.
As of today, I don't follow the NFL.
He's at the
Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's already got a job with the Giants. So.
Do you watch baseball?
No.
Oh. You didn't hear about the scandal?
Yeah, I've read about all the signs and all that other stuff.
My question, I asked someone, I said, what is worse, cheating or steroids for baseball?
Well, it's the same.
But what is worse for the game of baseball?
Yeah.
And this could be any sport, I guess.
Steroids will be worse for the game of baseball just because of the image it portrays, and then the fact that certain players that might have been caught, happen to be involved in record-breaking performances, so it kind of puts a black eye on those records, and maybe some people lose records maybe that they shouldn't have,
or asterisks.
Put an asterisk next to it or whatever. But the other part is ethical. When it's a team stealing signals or videotaping signals and then relaying pitches, that's an ethical thing. That's more than just cheating. That's something that's just I don't think it makes the game look dirty or bad. It just makes that team look really bad. It's unethical.
Yeah, and their thinking is trickling down from other teams. But, I mean, obviously we're only talking about Houston.
Most ideas trickle down from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean.
And then obviously they're winning. What about the teams that, there's probably a lot of teams cheating that don't win, and then you never hear about it.
That's true.
What about all the guys that juiced up and didn't hit any home runs?
That's what I was about to say. Like, you're doing all that stuff, and you're not even close to being Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, you only hear about the guys that win.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you there's more cheaters out there. To me, it's just unethical. That's not the way the game's supposed to, you don't do something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, now, if you can get something live and your third base coach or somebody can relay something, that's one thing, because another team in baseball, the signals that you're given and the indicators and the codes and all the things that you're doing, that's part of the game, just like football.
Yeah.
And if I signal in a play in football and the other team
knows what it is.
and they know from it. Now, if they're videotaping me, that goes on too. Now, that's different.
Yeah.
And that's why you see in the NFL and college all these guys with stuff over their mouth because they never want anybody to see, because there's 8 million cameras in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, but that's part of the game. If you're videotaping something on purpose with a guy that's designed to do that, and then that information is being directly relayed during the course of the play, that is just wrong.
Yeah. Because especially
that would be like in the NFL, guys tapped into the quarterback's helmet, and they get the play call coming into the quarterback, and they have the terminology so they know what to tell the defense.
That would suck for like a receiver.
That's what it's like.
Yeah. Because they have the little buzzers on their chest. Because when that guy hit the...
When he hit the home run, he held onto his jersey and told the guys not to rip his jersey off.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. But that's where we're at. Winning is so important in today's day and age and in sports. That's where we've gotten to.
Yeah. Because
it's a shame.
You got to win.
It's a shame, but that's where we've gotten to.
Everybody got fired. Even the guy that got to the Mets, he got fired. I don't know his name.
Beltrán.
Yeah. So, they're cleaning house.
Oh, and then it makes everybody look bad because Altuve or, Jose Altuve or whatever his name is on the Astros is one of the best players in baseball, and now it's making him look bad. Guy's still a great baseball player, but...
Yeah, but he was a pitcher?
No. That guy you're talking about that hit the home run.
Okay, yeah. And this is like the second Astro thing, because you have that one guy...
It is what it is. It ain't changing. People are going to do whatever they can to win. It's going to be the next... Somebody else is going to cheat next.
I think the videotaping's worse. I don't think the juicing's that bad. Because juicing helps like the individual, plus it kind of like brings people to the stadium because you want to see them hit the home run.
Yeah.
Cheating is kind of like it's a whole team thing, and granted, one person can win World Series, but if you know he's a juggernaut, he's going to hit home runs, just walk him. Take that out, let him walk, and then go for the next person.
But if every person that comes up to bat knows what pitches are coming, it's kind of tough to watch somebody get the next guy out.
The scan, this one is worse than steroids.
Yeah.
I think that just because it's kind of like it's just, they know what's coming, so I'm just going to slobber it. So, but yeah, that's my baseball news.
That'll be the last time you maybe ever hear about the baseball on this podcast.
Well, it was the only news that baseball has. Yeah, I'm
a Yankee fan, so whatever happens to the Astros happens. Yeah,
they kind of screwed over the Yankees.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. As long as it's not the Red Sox, I don't care.
Obviously.
That's basically my take on baseball nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't watch it that much anymore. I'm not involved like I was as a kid, but as long as the Red Sox aren't doing anything, I'm fine.
Hey, gotta be loyal.
NFL Super Bowl.
Good one.
Good one.
Chiefs.
Niners.
As much as I like the Niners.
I am on it since this.
And they look.
Since most people that listen to this podcast might be football people that have, appreciated my football opinion in the past, I am on a big 49ers kick on offense right now. I am studying what Kyle Shanahan is doing on offense. I don't know if we can do it in high school, to what extent we can do it, but I think it's phenomenal. I think what they're doing is phenomenal. I love the Chiefs too and what they do on offense and what Andy Reid does, but I think a lot of what the Chiefs are doing was a derivative of what was going on in the college game, and he just took it to another level. I think Shanahan is doing things that his dad used to do in an NFL format, and he's just so creative with it, and they're so good with how they do things formationally, and then how each play protects the next play. And so I am on just a huge 49ers kick, and I don't like the NFL at all.
No, I was going to say that's kind of weird because I remember you don't like...
This offseason so far for me, I've watched more 49ers stuff and videos of guys that are analyzing 49ers stuff than I have watched any college offense.
Yeah, they look...
And I think and the other reason for that is I think for me it's time for a change.
Yeah, I mean, they looked really good.
We need to change. I need to change something on offense. I've been doing a lot of the same things for the last 10, 12 years. I need to change. I need something fresh. I need a kick in the ass.
Yeah,
so
NFL
I am loving the Niners.
Well, especially if
I think it's going to be a great game.
I think it will be tough.
I think it's going to be a great game either way. I'm hoping it's a great game.
I didn't think it was going to be like that against Green Bay, though.
But this has been an interesting year. You had the Titans winning games without being able to throw the football at all. 49ers just won the other night. They threw 8 passes, if that. So just been an interesting year in football. The way the teams have been able to go back to the old school of how to run the ball and play good defense. And obviously it ran out on the Titans, but Niners came out and just absolutely annihilated the Packers. I mean, it really. I felt like I was on some of the sidelines of games that I've coached in, where the other team is just that much better and they're running the ball down your throat and you can't do a thing. I mean, at times the Packers looked absolutely helpless on defense.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. I mean, I feel like it'll be a good game, and I feel like San Francisco will have a head start just because I feel like Kansas City has been starting off slow.
Yeah.
And which is not a bad thing. Some people want to get into the moment,
But they've won those games, so now they know that they can do it. So
yeah, so it's not like they're not going to get stressed out because they're down maybe 10-0 or was it 17-7 against.
And now they've just done the opposite because they finally won a game with a lead because the last 3 times they had the Titans beat going into the fourth quarter, they lost all 3 games.
Titans. Did you see Derrick Henry's high school highlights?
Yeah, I used to see him on the news all the time when we was here.
He literally looked like a creative player off now.
Yeah, that's basically what he was.
Jesus.
At one point, I told guys at Ridgeview when I was coaching there, I don't think he'll make it as a running back. I thought he was too big.
Dude. I saw that and I was like,
he's a
Jesus.
freak. From Northeast Florida.
Yeah, you
love it. Love it.
Beyond
absolute freak.
Anyways,
It's fun to watch.
I bet.
All right, so as far as Super Bowl is concerned, what's more interesting? The game? Commercials? Halftime?
Halftime, no, because I feel like they could have done better. They got Jennifer Lopez and
Shakira.
Yeah. The game. I think this year's going to be the game. They're still going to have good commercials, but I think this game, because it's 2 powerhouses that have been just demolishing people all season, is going to be the game.
I'm still waiting for when the NFL realizes that, I know they got to cater to a certain audience, but when are they going to realize that you really want a great halftime show? Why don't you go out and find one of the best bands in the world?
I think whatever they pick, it's not going to be exciting for anybody. Because let's say hypothetically, this one's in Miami, right? So who would you have if it's in Miami? Or would it be anybody
I don't
from
care
Miami?
where it is.
So who would you have?
That,
I feel like you're going to say Metallica or something.
100%.
Okay, so let's say Metallica. Let's say they...
100%. This is my plug for Metallica halftime Super Bowl.
What about
1,000%.
Bon Jovi? Are you a big Bon Jovi fan?
I used to be when I was younger, but I'm sure at some point, I don't know, he might have already done a halftime show.
He probably has, but I'm trying to think of people that you...
Or even better, telecast give me a pregame Super Bowl. Give me Metallica in a pregame, and then tell me if everybody's not ready to play that game.
They usually have a country scene at a pregame.
It's always the same thing. Country always gets their shot. Hip hop always gets their shot. Pop always gets their shot. I feel like occasionally rock. I don't know if Aerosmith did it halftime one time. I probably should have researched this a little bit better.
Who cares? It's just halftime show. Usually people,
nobody watches anyways.
No, people watch it to get on Twitter and Facebook to complain why do they have this?
Right. It's lip synced, it's this, it's that, it's who cares?
What is he saying? He's a rapper or Jennifer Lopez? I mean, they probably
wardrobe malfunctions, Janet Jackson.
Even though that was Justin Timberlake's fault. So,
yeah.
But I mean,
JT, never blame JT.
Yeah, never blame him. He's an icon.
It's Timberlake.
Say whatever.
Timberlake's a different person.
Yeah, no, beat me.
Yeah.
Halftime. I don't care. I have it on, but it's not like I'm sitting there glued to it watching it. But I do watch the commercials and stuff. I think commercials in the show.
This year, because of the 49ers, I may make it to halftime. I don't know if I've made it to halftime in the last 20 years.
You just don't watch it, or you go to sleep?
I'm in bed.
No, I can watch. I can watch championship games if it's interesting.
And usually no interest in the halftime show. They put Metallica at the halftime show. I am up.
Popcorn and everything.
I am ready to go.
Well, I think you're going to make it. I think it'll be good.
No, it's never happening. It's not happening. The NFL doesn't want it. People don't want it.
No, not Metallica. No, I'm saying you're going to make it to the whole game this year.
I mean, I don't know why they don't. No other band has all seven continents they've toured. They played a show in Antarctica. Nobody's doing it.
But it's the NFL. They have to be modern.
Stupid.
Even though the people who have, like, Jennifer Lopez is like 50.
Stupid. If PlayFast Football has anything to do with the NFL, Metallica will be a pregame or a halftime show.
Hopefully they're
100% guaranteed.
What about Kiss? I feel like you're a big Kiss person. Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy's got a new album coming out, by the way.
Pulling all this stuff out of my bag.
Ozzy Osbourne's got a new album coming out.
That's
Kiss is on their farewell tour that'll go for another year, almost next June, I think it ends. No interest in seeing them in a halftime show.
They should just kind of like combine everybody, like do a rock, do rap, do R&B.
They try to do that sometimes, but it's just,
I mean, I feel like they should just integrate it all. Everybody gets what they want.
I don't know.
So, Royal Rumble. Who do you have? Brock Lesnar scoring number 1.
Yeah, I really only have, the only interest I have is I need an appearance from Edge or CM Punk.
You'll probably get, I feel like you're going to get both.
Okay, I got to get one.
I feel like you're going to get both.
And I need Ronda Rousey.
She has been pretty quiet, but I think she's on Total Divas, which I don't watch.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of it either. Other than that, the Royal Rumble itself, I don't care what happens. It's the build-up for Mania.
Yeah.
They've got their storyline set. I just want surprise entrance. It was AJ Styles was one of the best ones. Jericho was one of the best. There's been so many great Royal Rumble surprises.
John Cena, when he came back, was really good.
I'm just there for the surprises. I don't care about the match. I don't care about, because it's all the precursor and the build-up to Mania.
Yeah, and I think last year they had like terrible like surprises. Was it last
Yeah,
year?
last year. Yeah, I think it was last year. It wasn't great, but
like no one
Yeah.
to where you're like, oh my gosh. It was just like, look.
yeah, I needed to get back to where there's 10 in there that you just absolutely know. Now, it might have been last year, though, within the women's one, they pulled out some old-timers and some girls that came back, and that was pretty shocking.
I mean,
It might have been, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Lita came back.
Because Lita and
Trish.
Yeah, because then they had their little run.
Yeah.
With the.
So, I mean, I'm Royal Rumble for me is all about the shock value, all about surprises, and then all about the build to Mania. So I'll get, I've been a little bit lackluster on my wrestling the last couple weeks. But that's only because I know what's coming. And then it's going to be the build to Mania, and when we get the build to Mania, now I'm ready to go.
I'm curious since Brock Lesnar's going 1. I don't think he's going to win it, but I want to know who's going to throw him over. Hopefully it won't be like Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins. Hopefully maybe like a CM Punk.
The only other real cool thing to me about the Royal Rumble is if you watch it close enough and you study it, you'll know the feuds that are coming.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's not only when certain people get eliminated, but it's by who they get eliminated. Yeah. And then also who gets like a 60-minute run in there or whatever, so you know who the push is coming to, and then you know where the feuds are going to go. So obviously, whatever they do with Brock, however they choose to do it, that's probably a good indication of what might come down the line.
Well, hopefully it's not someone that he's already, demolished. So, I mean, CM Punk would be good, just because he's new. Daniel Bryan already has a match with Bray Wyatt or The Fiend. So that'd be pretty interesting to see who, because he hasn't been there. He's back.
Now, the cool thing is going to be this will be the kickoff pay-per-view of 2020, and I think WWE is going to continue to keep moving the needle further.
They have to.
And I think AEW has done a tremendous job to keep pushing. And I think the independents are doing a tremendous job to keep pushing. So I think WWE is going to have to keep pushing the needle. And I think in order to do that, I think this is going to have to start with Royal Rumble with not only a good show, but some shock and some awe and a Mania build that people want to see. Because there's already been things that you sent me a leaked Mania card.
Oh, yeah.
There's already all that stuff out there about what they think the Mania card is, and it's lame, and it's going to suck, and everything else. I'm not believing that until I see the Royal Rumble, start to see how things go. And then from there, I'll start understanding, okay, I can get with this or I can't, one way or the other. But, it's going to be a tough direction either way. Who knows what is going to happen with Brock and what you want to happen to Brock. I don't know if you can ever go down a right path with that. He's going to draw probably either way. They're going to make their money either way. I don't know if there is a right road to go down. Don't think Brock is ever going to pass a torch to anybody. He hasn't wrestled enough really to be a pass the torch guy.
He could just leave and come back whenever.
Yeah, he leaves and comes back whenever. You know, is there going to be an Undertaker appearance? Is there any Undertaker Sting? Who knows? But at the same time, it's exciting because it's the build. Mania's coming. You know it's coming. It's in Tampa this year, which is exciting.
You should go to it.
I should probably go, and I'll have friends.
I would be going to it, but I'll be in.
I'll have friends that are going, but
Oh, you gotta go.
I don't know.
Have you been to one?
No.
I went to the one 28. John Cena and The Rock. I had to go. It was in Miami. I was like, the only time that I thought it was like The Rock's last match. Loved John Cena. Had to go. Had shitty seats. But
Condolences to The Rock, by the way. Dad just died.
oh yes.
The great Rocky Johnson.
But WrestleMania, gotta go. You have to at least.
Yeah, it's probably, you know what?
It's one of those things that, I mean, find the match that you want, but make sure you try to go, especially if it's close.
Yeah, like, you know, it's just one of those things where if you say you're a wrestling fan, that's something you probably got to do.
Yes.
You know, so like for me, if I say I'm a Metallica fan,
You're going.
I've gone.
Nice.
Like I said, I already said on a podcast,
yeah,
90,000 people, Guns N' Roses in the Meadowlands. I've seen Metallica 7 or 8 times, or whatever it is. But they're doing 5 festivals this year, and one of them happens to be in Daytona. 2-day festival, 2 different set lists. If you're a Metallica fan, you got to go.
Gotta go.
Now, I'm a dad at the same time with a fixed income. I don't know if I can go.
Hey guys, we can't go to Disney this week.
Same thing with WrestleMania. I don't know if I can go, but if you're a wrestling fan, WrestleMania in your state, you probably got to go.
Just
you know?
check every single. Like,
I've never been to a Super Bowl.
I've never been to Super Bowl.
My wife danced at a Super Bowl.
I thought she only danced for the Jaguars.
The Jaguars hosted a Super Bowl.
They did. So why was?
That was a great week because I saw Leonard Skinner that week.
So you just had a good old time.
Well, yeah, because she was dancing at all these different parties. And
Yeah. I went to the NFL experience.
she's got pictures with Eric Dickerson and Hootie and the Blowfish. You know, that was a crazy week.
Does she still get like Jaguar access and stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. I didn't know how that worked.
No, but I've never been to a Super Bowl. My wife cheered at the Pro Bowl. All right, cheered all week leading up and did stuff for the Super Bowl. I've never been to either one.
Pro Bowl now, it's kind of like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but either way.
Super Bowl, I almost went when the Jaguars won.
Don't know.
But no, you should go to the WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
You should go to at least one, and this is probably
the one. I'm getting old enough to where I don't know if they come back in 8 or 10 years.
Especially if Sting's there.
If Sting's around.
You gotta go, even if the
Now,
match sucks.
if Edge is back in business.
They said he got cleared.
If Edge is back in business and Sting's around,
Just wait until
you get a good card going.
Just wait until closer to WrestleMania, and the tickets will be cheaper.
Well, the best thing going the last couple weeks are, they finally, AJ Styles, Randy Orton was the best thing going.
Oh yeah, but Randy Orton's he's like the master. He's been there since I remember when he first started.
Yeah, but he comes and goes. But that was
but
that was put together well done. 2 guys that can still go. Randy can go good enough. AJ is phenomenal. The only other thing I'm a little bit disappointed is New Japan should have Tanahashi should have beat Jericho, and they should have let him come over and get his title shot in AEW. Because you're going to see all those guys coming to AEW soon.
What if they're trying to build it up? I mean, as I said, I'm not a big AEW fan.
All I know is they put it out there. They put the caveat out there that if Tanahashi won, he'd get a shot. It was all set up for it, and Jericho still wins. I don't know why they did it. If that's why they were doing it, should have had him win, get his title shot. Would have been a great.
I feel like they're pointing on it.
It's coming.
Maybe it's
matter of fact, because I think New Japan now has 4 or 5 shows in the United States this year, where they used to have 1.
I think since they probably put it out there, it's probably one of those things that he might just randomly show up.
Well, that's what he's been doing.
Oh, okay. We'll see. I'll watch it.
And he randomly showed up for.
And my thing was if they're telling you that if he wins, he gets a shot.
He originally randomly showed up for Kenny Omega. Then he randomly showed up for Naito. Then he randomly showed up for Tanahashi. So he's done it with New Japan a bunch of times, even before AEW.
Yeah.
So he's done it before. But my thing is, they threw that out there, and it was the perfect thing to say, hey, you want some of these New Japan guys to wrestle in AEW. You want to get bigger stars that other people recognize on the roster. Here's a title shot. Go ahead and give it to them. But I'm already I'm foreshadowing what I already know.
Yeah.
That title, they're already worried about who gets the shot, who gets the title.
Has Jericho had the title for a while now?
He's had it the whole time. He's the only
Maybe
one. But I just know that title is going to be kind of protected, and only certain people are going to get it and get their shots, and they're going to have to protect their own, because, with that kind of inner circle of being the elite, you probably got some egos you got to take care of, and
I think they're smart enough to know they're not going to make the mistake WCW.
With what?
Like only certain people do certain things, letting
No.
wrestlers.
But I think they've had problems with the title already.
Yeah.
When they first started, they had a match that was supposed to go on in one of the pay-per-views that didn't even go on because they couldn't determine the finish between Hangman Page and Pac. Neville.
Neville.
Right? So that's already happened once, so that's going to continue to happen because people just don't understand behind the scenes what the politics is like with that belt.
Yeah.
So that's the only unfortunate part. Other than that, I think it's been pretty good. I think they're getting a little bit better. I think people have now started, the honeymoon's over, and there's some people that are starting to wane and starting to see that it is what it is.
Yeah.
I still think it generates enough interest. I still think it's better for wrestling. And
It's still Plan B.
Yeah.
And that's all you need for wrestling.
Well, that's what PlayFast Football is going to be.
Plan B.
We're going to be the clinic Plan B.
Eventually we'll be Plan A.
Maybe we'll be Plan A.
A1.
1A?
1A.
All right, so that's about all we got this week.
So you're going to WrestleMania, right?
That's a maybe.
I'll find you some
That's
cheap.
a maybe.
If you go, I have a place that you can stay.
Okay, we'll see.
That way you can leave at like 8, so you're not sleeping from like 5 to...
Well, just get my seats near a bathroom somewhere.
I'm not paying for the tickets.
All right, then I'm not going.
I have a place that you can stay if you don't want to buy a hotel.
All right, so we'll see. That's a maybe. All right, but that'll wrap up this week's episode number 5 of the PlayFast Podcast. Probably went over a little bit longer than we normally do, but that's what happens once we get going or I get going in a direction, on a tangent. But we've got a clinic coming up this week. It's going to be amazing. If you're around this weekend, check out YouTube. We're going to live stream at some point. We're going to be putting a lot of things up on YouTube. We're going to throw a bunch of it up on Patreon for you guys that are Patreon members. At our next podcast will probably be a mashup of interviews that we did. I'll maybe do a live segment, and then we'll throw a mashup of all the interviews that we did from the clinic. And then from there, it's going to be every other podcast should be interviews and special guests and a lot of great things coming up. So I appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks for making PlayFest what it is today. And now 3 days away from first ever PlayFest Football Clinic, all because of listeners out there and people that subscribe and pay attention to the things that we're doing. So I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the golf talk a little bit. Hopefully you enjoyed the football talk a little bit. Hopefully you enjoyed the business talk a little bit. If there's anything you ever want to hear out there, always shoot us a line. Drop me something on social media. Let me know what you think. You like it, you don't like it, you want to see something different, you don't want to hear me talk about certain things. Give your opinion, let me know, and I will appease as many of you as possible without cutting down on my own creative freedom, because this is an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half or
hour and 43 minutes.
An hour and 43 minutes of me just being able to freelance and talk when I've got a lot of things going on. And this was a great stress reliever for me today because this weekend's going to be crazy, so I appreciate it.
And make sure you tell them to subscribe, give stars.
Subscribe on iTunes or on Spotify.
Yes.
Subscribe, give stars, give good ratings, all the good stuff. Get it out there.
You don't have to give good ratings. Just be honest.
Yeah, just be honest.
It's an honest podcast.
It is straightforward.
Straightforward. Do you want to shoot? Isn't that
I appreciate it. It's not a work. It's a shoot. So I appreciate everything you guys do. As always, you won't play well until you play fast. I'll catch you guys next time.